Good morning, bonjour. It's early, and I'm outside listening to the birds, trying to avoid the sun. But last night, I had another tea with me conversation, this time with Bif Naked. Bif Naked is one of my favorite punk rock girls here in Canada. If you know her music and her social media presence, or if you've just seen her around, you know she's an incredibly positive person. I've never met someone who can like rock the Slayer jacket and also be so namaste about everything in the world. We talked about having all her performances canceled, what the hell we're doing with our hair right now, and more. And if you enjoy this conversation, you can read her entire life story in her autobiography, Ibificus. But for now, here's tea with me and Bif Naked. Bif Naked, my neighbor that I don't get to see anymore. Thank you so much for coming to have tea with me.
I would not have missed it. I have not seen you since your birthday, in fact. So it's really fun to be able to see you on video because it feels like a visit. It's rejuvenating in a way. I'm exhilarated by just even being able to see you.
How are you? Where are you? It looks like you're at home. I don't know that I recognize this wall, but like, tell me, where are you and how you're doing?
Um, well, my default is always going to be to answer in a certain way because that's just been my job for 30 years. My answer is always awesome. Even when I was in, chemo, balls, very sick, always it's awesome. Everything's awesome. But honestly, because it kind of is. I can't complain. I've got a roof over my head. There's snacks. I have discovered salt-free que pasa tortilla chips, which is the death of me. I love these chips very much. It's terrible. And I made a collage wall on the wall in my dining room. I am in my apartment because it made me happy. It just makes me feel good just to be like have all these pops of bright things and ultimately for people like us artists, basically we kind of work at home in a way. I had all my work stuff canceled this year, well so far because we can't be in public basically, so it's been interesting. It's been a little bit of an adjustment, but I'm happy. I'm always kind of happy.
It's true. I do work at home also as a writer, but I'm working from home exclusively now, and I'm realizing, oh, I don't have a wall. Like, I gotta put more art up. Like, it's time to kind of like make this place like more interesting to look at now that I'm here all the time. Because it's true. The last time I saw you was on my birthday, and you got me like Moroccan dessert. You got me like msemen, and so if we talked about our love for that country, so I want to ask you in a second what kind of tea you have, but in your honor, I busted out my Moroccan teapot,
Oh, beautiful.
which I'm holding on the side because I put it on the stove, right, like that. And I know how much you love animals, so I'm using my WWF, World Wildlife Federation mug. I don't have the skills to pour this from like 3 feet high to make the sounds like it's peeing.
It does.
To make the froth, and I know I'm supposed to pour it back in there, and again, so I'm going to do that. It is actually, I brought this back from Morocco. I don't know what this says.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Some sort of like cheap ass Moroccan tea from the grocery store. So
Right,
I'm gonna
beautiful.
pour this. Hopefully, it doesn't sound like pee. Tell me what you're drinking.
Okay, and so for me, I have a strawberry chocolate tea. This is in my Home Hospice Association mug from right here in beautiful Southern Ontario, Home Hospice Association. And the tea that I have, which is all, I didn't even consider bringing the package over here, but it's this little kind of weird chocolate and strawberry tea that I got when I was at my mother-in-law's over Christmas, which is in Cranbrook, British Columbia. And it's just basically dehydrated strawberries with chocolate in it. And it is just phenomenal. It's probably I don't know, it's probably kind of addictive because chocolate can be like that, but it's good. It smells really good. So cheers.
Cheers. I think it's fine. I think it's interesting. We both have white. This is the only white mug I own. We both brought white mugs.
Yes, this is my favorite mug. Every other mug, of course, is in honor of my partner. So every other mug is Star Wars or Kiss in my home.
Well, it's not inappropriate to have some white in our life because you are one of the most optimistic, positive people I know. I'm very much a night owl. I'm happy at 2 in the morning, reading, writing when the city is quiet, but I can't really anymore because I get tired early and I find myself waking up super early for me, which is like
Right,
7, and you've
right.
already been up and taken a picture of the sunrise and tweeted out all these inspirational things. So for those of us maybe like me who are new to mornings, what is it about getting up in the morning that makes your life better? Like, have you always been an early riser like that?
I have always been an early riser because I had dogs. So anyone who has dogs or even cats maybe knows that your animals will dictate what time you wake up. And I had a Bichon, Anastasia Luisa Mona Lisa Molinare, may she rest in peace. She liked to play at 3 in the morning. She woke me up at 3 in the morning and she was hungry. And so my other dog, Nicholas, was very vocal, very communicative. So he would start barking. So this quickly got me out of bed every day. And I would have to feed them. And then, of course, metabolism being what it is, then I would have to walk them. Sometimes we would go back to bed, but most of the time I just stayed awake. And that's probably how it started for me, but also jet lag and traveling. So that just became a habit. But moving to Toronto, now I'm kind of a 6-ish person, which is still 3 in the morning in Vancouver. But if I have to get up early, I will definitely. I like 4. 5 is a luxury. 6, and lately I've kind of been sleeping in. For me is till 6. I just feel kind of like just really unbelievable about that. It makes me feel like I'm gonna get bed sores. I don't like lying down that long. I like 5 hours of sleep. I don't like any more than that. It just doesn't feel good for me. And that just could be, yeah, that could be a habit for 30 years of being chronically jet lagged.
I think most of us are having our days turned upside down. Sometimes I forget what day it is. I look at the clock, I forget what time it is.
Hmm.
What was going on when this COVID crisis first hit you? What were you doing and what did you think about all of this?
Well, I feel very lucky because right before it happened, I was on an acoustic tour with Snake, and we were going throughout Ontario doing acoustic shows. I had Dylan Gray on the first couple shows, and then Frank Moyo on our other shows, and it was amazing. And I mean, it was so much. I love performing with him. I just harass him and tease him for a 3-hour show every night. And then afterwards, I signed books, which really means hugging people, 200 people, and doing selfies every day, which is all I was doing until the 9th of March, at which time I went to Oakville and babysat 2 brand new Pomeranian puppies for a week, as well as my friend who's 82. So then I was out there for a whole week and then kind of barely made it home on the 17th, and I never left again. That was it. So when the restrictions started happening, I was mostly concerned for my friend, who is a senior citizen. So I was very happy to be out there and staying with her so that I could get her prescriptions and her groceries and stuff like that. And of course, puppies. It was amazing. I always say I'll just ovulate all the time that I'm with dogs, but of course they took my ovaries out during breast cancer, so I can't really claim that, but that's how it feels. It was really fantastic. And then I just came home and I've just never left.
What kind of routine are you keeping now? I mean, I'm now, for me, it's like we're in the middle of week 7 of my work from home where I
Wow.
only sort of get my groceries once a week. My bangs are at the point where they're like too long. They're parting now. I'm still dyeing my
Adorable.
hair though, and putting makeup on some days. Like,
Thanks.
Are you?
Of course. Absolutely. I mean, we didn't have Instagram when we were young girls. We didn't learn makeup from Instagram models. We learned from our drag queen friends. That was, and our goth friends. That was like, and so there is a level of commitment that our generation has to the whole shtick. I mean, I started dyeing my hair black when I was, I don't know, 19 years old because of Liz Taylor. That was, I was like, come on. Like, she dyed her hair black until she was, in the ground, basically, as will I. um you know Sorry, that's just how it is, because it's funny and because I can make fun of myself. But I cut my own hair almost my entire adult life. I have always only cut my own hair because I was always traveling. And same with dyeing my hair. I've always just done it myself because I don't really have had the time to find a hairdresser in Atlanta, or like stop the tour bus so I could go get my hair dyed. Always did it myself. So with haircuts and bangs, I actually watched a YouTube video by accident, where they parted their hair in the middle and put it in two ponytails and literally went snip, snip. I was like, I'm done, and I had a haircut. It was just like that. And my
You
bangs,
did that?
yeah, yes,
Mine
I
is like
did.
so long. I can't. I'm too scared.
I cut mine to here again. Yeah, but yours is also quite gorgeous. And so it's also fun to have it long, especially in summer, because then you can do like those fancy like up things, and like it's really like, plus the growing out the bangs is hard. I was never happier than when I had grown out my bangs in, like, I'm going to say 2006. I was never happier, and it took a long time to do it.
I don't remember that phase of Bif Naked at all.
Oh yeah, it was when I was a Bodog. I was on Bodog TV interviewing mixed martial arts fighters. Woo, what a time! But yeah,
Sorry, I missed that part.
I had grown out my bangs, and it was loads of fun. And now that you can buy the clip-in bangs and still be growing them out the whole time, I mean, it's an option. We have lots of options these days.
We have so many options.
Yeah.
We get into these household routines, but I want to ask you about work, because, are you one of those people that your creativity is still firing? Do you have a lot of ambition right now to produce, or are you just like taking a break?
No, I think that I always do the same thing. So we made a new record, and being at home, what we're doing is just finalizing mixes, which we would be doing anyway. I was supposed to start the Buck Cherry tour today, but it's been pushed till the fall, so that's cool. But I'm glad that I'm not out on the road, because right now what we're doing with revisiting some of these mixes is we're just tweaking them, and it's super fun to go through that and tweak them. So that's been great. I had written a book of poetry last year. And I don't, I guess with records or with essays, or maybe you're the same way, when I write something, it's kind of like pushing out a baby, and everything's out, like the placenta's out, like, it was a big push, get it out. And so I don't have an opportunity to revisit this stuff very frequently, nor do I want to. But I find that I'm revisiting it, and I've already started adding little tweaks to the poetry book also. But it's a way of procrastinating from more serious work, I always say. If I do like whimsical or immature, fun, silly work, that's because I'm procrastinating from doing important things like receipts or accounting or anything like that.
What do you think is going to happen for your touring career? I mean, musicians have put their live shows on hold. We don't know for how long. Some are being rescheduled, but we don't know. How is this affecting you emotionally, not knowing when you'll be able to get back out on the road?
Well, I would say definitely it's scary for anybody who loves performing. I love performing. I love it more than the studio any day. So having the work postponed, even though it's a drag, I'm a science nerd. I get it, and so I'm happy that it's postponed. I don't want people all rammed in a room together, and plus people might not go if they don't feel confident about it. So it's cool. It's kind of a drag because if we are not physically putting butts in chairs, we are not getting paid. Period. The end. I know there's lots of artists that somehow magically seem to make money from, I don't know what they're doing, online shows or doing their streaming and stuff like that. And I always say, God bless. That's not our life. We do not make money really unless we're putting butts in chairs. So I look forward to being able to perform again. A, it's fun. I love performing. B, I wanted to go to Winnipeg to perform, which is one of the dates on these tours because that's where my mom is. And, just stuff like that. It's a little disappointing for sure, but I look forward to the day when we can go. I believe that by the time restrictions are eased to the point where, for example, sporting events or concerts are going to resume, I think that by that time, whenever it is, people will be more than ready for that to happen, and they'll be like very excited to be out attending these things. And I think, sports, it's the same way. I think that sports fans are probably really, really dying, like for their sports seasons. And it's the same with concerts. Maybe people will be more apt, more driven to go out and see shows now because they literally could not. I know that a lot of us feel that way just about stuff that we kind of were, lazy about, whether it is like group dinners or like birthdays or things like that. I mean, everybody's an adult. We work, we're tired. Working is exhausting. Life is exhausting. And so people didn't necessarily always make it to the events. I think that possibly it's going to be more social after this. We might have to always wear masks.
Well, one of the things that I read about, because I too believe in science and I'm trying to keep up, and there's so much that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I have read that like a lot of the events where a lot of people were infected are things like weddings, funerals, churches, places where people are talking to a lot of people in close proximity. But the other thing is singing. They're like, maybe that's one of the reasons behind the church outbreaks. And you think about that with concerts, you think it's not just the fact that everyone is close together in this venue, it's that we're all singing along.
Yes.
And if we have to wear masks, maybe that's the way. But like, I can't imagine going to a concert and being told like you're not allowed to sing, or going to a sport event and it's like you can't sing the national anthem. It'd be weird.
Well, again, I think that with all we know so far this week anyway, and I'm sure it's other countries as well, but Germany and France have mandated and made it absolutely mandatory for masks. And I think that that's probably really and truly the sign of the times and the shape of things to come. I think that I think it's a good idea. And even though there's a lot of talk about how some masks are flimsy and they don't really do anything, I still think it does a little bit. And I think that's better than nothing. And basically that's what they're saying. We need a barrier. So even if you're wearing a, I don't know, like a bandana or a scarf, I think it's still better than nothing. And I will guess that it will be mandatory. And for sporting events, imagine the branding too. Same with bands. Okay, so if it's mandatory for masks, who is not going to make merch that's masks?
There's gonna be overpriced designer masks, aren't there?
There already are. So if you look at BritishVogue.com
Really?
and Vogue Italia and go online, and even some of the fashion houses, including Haute Couture, you will already see masks. And partly they're a bit theatrical because they're obviously, using their, that's their art. So they're making a statement about the times. But even with us, like I had to make masks for us out of t-shirts. People don't have masks. And so, yeah, the t-shirt hack was great for me because I don't have a sewing machine. And ultimately, doing that coupled with social distancing, basically when we wear a mask, we're still giving that other person the reassurance that we do take it seriously. We're not just taking our health seriously, we're taking community health seriously. And I think that it just is now, and moving forward, I think it will be a common courtesy to wear a mask. And we've seen that just as travelers, we've seen that for years in lots of different airports. And I just think now it's, they've made it mandatory for airlines. You have to have your own mask. They won't provide them for you. So then I think, wow, if anyone ever wanted to rent a kiosk in an airport and start a business, making masks in the airport, like selling them at the kiosks, I mean, that would be a great business because they're going to be needed.
Yeah, they can replace those, those vendors at airports selling like the pants with the
Earrings.
strange like prints on them, like
Yeah,
wacky spandex pants. They can
that's right. Yeah,
replace those with masks.
yeah, exactly. Those and hats and shawls and yeah, crazy
So,
bling bling jewelry.
yeah. Um, I did want to, get a little bit serious. As many people who followed your career know and have read your book know, um, you are a cancer survivor. I don't know if you use the word survivor. Some people do, some people don't, but you've been through a tough cancer diagnosis, treatment, come out the other side. So, as someone who's gone through chemotherapy and this kind of thing, does that make you an immunocompromised person now for the rest of your life? And, when something like this pandemic comes up, do you have special considerations or sort of like a different way that you have to deal with this?
Not at all. So for me as a cancer survivor, and I love the word, I love it. I love pink ribbons. I love everything. I love talking about tits and cancer, and I love it. I just love it. And I feel happy that I'm a survivor. But at the same time, I'm very protective of patients. Um, yes, if I was only a year out of treatment, or if I was, if I had finished chemo, yet I was still in radiation or anything like that, absolutely completely immunocompromised and very vulnerable, very susceptible to getting sick. And I mean colds, staph infections, anything. So a lot of people and families who have gone through cancer care, they got this down. They totally understand social distancing and isolating because they've done it. It's old hat, and they've always done it. For me, being a 10-year survivor, I'm right as rain, basically. Nothing, I don't have any compromised cells anymore. Hopefully not, but probably not at all. And even with having the stroke I had in my kidney and my heart surgery, even with that, the body is amazing. And I think people don't really realize how incredible the human body actually is. Even with fighting colds, the rhinovirus, even with fighting regular old influenzas and stuff, our bodies are amazing. And my kidney was absolutely not cool. It was absolutely failing. And at this point now, several years later, my kidney is so regenerated all by itself, I could donate it. And that's how incredible everybody is, not mine, everybody's body. And that's why I just feel very hopeful about things like COVID-19 and people who do survive it's a big deal. They talk about a second wave, and I just kind of go, I think there's just always a wave. I think that there's always a wave happening. It's about testing and how they can track the numbers and stuff like that, just so they can track the spread of it and minimize it. Um, I don't know. I hope obviously that they can eradicate it quickly. Everybody talks about a vaccine, but with vaccines, you have to talk people into getting them. A lot of people don't get flu shots already. There's a lot of people who don't like vaccines, don't like to vaccinate their children already. So, when they're talking about a COVID-19 vaccine, which I hope it, even though everyone is very much afraid, I think it may still be kind of hard to talk everybody into getting it. And I think that's going to be that's going to take a lot of encouragement for everybody to get on board with that so that they can just stop it.
When we think about the future, the other side of all of this, whether it's 3, 6, 12 months from now, what are you looking forward to? What are you hopeful for? How would you like your life and the world to be on the other side of all this?
Well, honestly, probably like yourself, anyone who loves traveling is probably really chomping to travel. We are all like fantasizing. And it's not like, and traveling is expensive. So it's not like we had all these grand trips planned. Plus, people have to work and still pay rent. But really, it does lead us to thinking about it more and really going, wow, I'm going to do all those things. And even coming out of cancer treatment, I was just telling my husband this last week. When I got out of cancer treatment, I was going to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I was going to buy a Ducati motorcycle. Yes, I was. And I was going to do that. I was, there are all these things, all these tiers of things I was going to do. And I have done not one of them, not even one. And it's been a decade. So that's kind of, I can't beat myself up about it, but I think that people do make kind of, fantasies that they say, when I'm done, when I'm through this, I'm going to do that thing. And for me, probably like anyone who loves to travel, I think about, I'm going to go back to that place I said I was going to do last summer, but then things got in the way or whatever. Now I'm very passionate about doing that and fulfilling those dreams. And I think that's really good for all people to think of those healthy fantasies that we have. A lot of people say that couples are fighting or people are, having trouble in isolation and in quarantine. That's just a communication thing. And that's because people are fatigued. They're just fatigued. We call it bus fever on the tour bus. It's super common. It always hits week 6. Week 3 it hits, and then week 6 it really hits. And bus fever goes away. You just got to ride it out. It's like anything. But after you've survived, people start doing what they have been dreaming about.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about the fact that people who tour, whether it's a van or a bus or close quarters with the same people, like day in
Yes.
and day out, maybe have a bit more quarantine type experience than some of us.
Oh yeah. And any band will tell you it is like bus fever, 100%. It's and it hits at a certain point where everyone just kind of just little things and people start getting short with one another, and it happens to every band family.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. The tea is cold over here, and it has way too much sugar in it because I made it like
No
I'm in
such
Morocco,
thing.
which
No
I
such
hate.
thing.
I actually
Yum.
don't like sugar in my tea, but you know.
I do.
You do?
I love sugar in my tea, and there is no finer tea than Moroccan mint tea with way too much sugar. Delicious.
All right. Well, the next
Oh,
time I see you, we'll have some in the park. You might not have a Ducati, but I know you have a super cool BMX, or you have a bike. So maybe we'll be able to pass each other safely on our bikes this summer or fall or
I hope
spring,
so.
maybe even.
Yes, I think so. I think it'll be before summer. I really do. I'm very hopeful, and I can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Biff. It's always a pleasure to see your face. You bring always like cheer into my dark soul.
You're so cute. Bye.
See you again. Bye.